I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. And wherever you're watching from, make sure to hit the like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share this link. It helps me to get it out there. That way new people can find me. And make sure to follow us, guys. Facebook, Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. Donate, support, all that good stuff. The links are in the description box below. I did have a little bit of trouble getting the stream started tonight. So I do apologize for those of you that were waiting for me to get started. It's like a little bit rainy outside. So that was kind of the delay as well. And hopefully we get some people rolling in here. I wanted to talk about and share the link to if you guys are watching this. So let me go ahead and get a little bit of shelter here, get under the rain. Tonight we're going to talk about is the world being judged. And I'm going to clean off my camera. Just give me one moment. Is the world being judged? We have so many different people that look at this, especially from like a religious point of view, you know, and what judgment is, what that actually means. And when we look at it from an esoteric standpoint, it means something entirely different, right? Something entirely different. Looks like the camera is a little bit better now. And everybody in the chat too, I don't know why, but here recently we've had, you know, quite a few trolls on the different pages. So I imagine anytime you start to get attention or anything like that, you know, especially the things that we talk about in, you know, this community, you know, there's people that don't like that, you know. That's one of the things, like, especially like when we look at like religions in particular, people, and let me know if you guys can hear me and you can see me and all of that good stuff. Let me make sure that I got my camera right. So, especially when it comes to religion, you know, this is something that people are incredibly passionate about. If you think about it, like this entire last age that we've just been through, the last astrological age, the age of Pisces, which was ruled by Jupiter from an astrological standpoint. Now, Pisces is the ruler of religion. It has the religious influence. And in an astrological sense, we see it represented by the two fish. Now, these two fish, you see one above, one below. You know, this represents duality. And we do live in a duality or a dualistic paradigm, you know, as above, so below, good and evil. And let me go ahead and get my umbrella here, too. Looks like this tree ain't going to be enough. Just for a moment. So when we look at that, we see things from a dualistic standpoint or a religious standpoint, as religion in itself is a mechanism for division, right? Now, what I believe religion was designed for, like originally, you know, before we jump into like judgment and all of this, is just kind of like trying to understand it first. I believe religion was used ultimately for us to be able to hold on to the original pattern that those of the ancient civilizations, when they were in the end of their cycle, when they were at a, thank you so much. The audio's good, video's a little dark. Hopefully this is a little more light. I'm sorry, I can't get a whole lot of light where I'm at. I might walk over to a better lit area, so hopefully it's not too dark. I do apologize, guys. I did not know it was gonna start pouring fucking rain as soon as I was supposed to go live. So, but yeah, kind of looking at this from where was I at? I'm getting a little distracted here. So, looking at this from, you know, an astrological standpoint, the age of Pisces, the last 2,600 years, you know, we've been ruled, and we know that the Great Flood, like as far as the mythologies and shit like that goes, we know that this was defined as a time of a fall in consciousness or a time of like a punishment of man, right? If you look at the Bible, just for instance, right? And please try to understand, if you've never seen me before, if you catch this on the flip side, whatever, right? That I don't believe in organized religion. I don't believe in the two-party paradigm. I don't believe in any of that shit. So I'm not here to propagate, none of that. Matter of fact, I'm hoping to snap you out of all of those things. Jesus Christ. It is a little windy. So, looking at this Jupiter ruled age, this age of religion, this age of duality that we see, the age of Pisces, right? We know that there has been this understanding, essentially, where when we look at this age, we have been taught biblically that mankind was evil, that there were giants that ruled the earth, meaning, I believe, extremely large consciousness, or a different cycle or existence, or a different mutation of humanity. I don't believe that it was extraterrestrials. I believe we're the only ones here, that we're the ones who built the pyramids, we're the ones who did it all, right? And I mean, that's not a popular belief. People want to believe in something outside of themselves, but this is exactly why religion has been so prominent and so effective, because people need something outside of themselves, right? People need something outside of themselves, and they need something or someone, whether that's Jesus or God or extraterrestrials. They need someone or something outside of themselves to make them feel safe and secure, because they've been taught through this religion and through our last understanding of the 2600 years that the power is outside of them. It's been a very external, exoteric age, and you hear about the story of Lucifer, right? The angel of music, or the angel of sound, the most beautiful angel. And he was a seraphim, he was a cherubim, right? All these angels combined, the highest ranking angel, he was actually you and me, right? And Lucifer is actually the power of the intellect or the mind, right? And this fallen angel, right, who fell from grace and fell from God because of his arrogance, and because of his rebellion against God. Now think about it. If you've watched any of my content and any of my work at any point in time, you know that when we talk about being born into sin, it means being born into sound. Now start to put that into context of, an angel of music, an angel of sound, right? Everything that we experience in this reality is light and sound. It's all vibration and frequency. Okay? That light bearer, um, and think about a light bearer, that means someone who brings forth light or illumination. We, in fact, being heavenly hosts or luminaries, right? These stars that are in this higher aeon. We look at Genesis. Genesis says that we were created in image of Elohim. Elohim in Hebrew means supreme magistrates, right? The angels, the luminaries. We were an image, a phantom, a projection of the luminaries, meaning our higher self is the stars. I actually think it's cool because, you know, um, I have a girlfriend that don't even get into this kind of shit at all, but she was talking about the other day how, we're all just stardust. And it's like, people that don't even study this stuff, because we're coming into this like age of consciousness and understanding, it's like it's just second nature to us. Like our inner knowing to know like where we originated and where we're from, and just how special we are. And it couldn't be more true if we look at it from the academia, scientific point of view of us being stardust. Technically it is true. you know Technically our higher self, our higher dimensional aspect does come from the stars. That is us projecting ourselves down here. And I speak about it a lot, how the firmament, the electromagnetic field, acts as a prism, for these celestial energies, or these stars, these luminaries, to kind of shine through. It's called soul luminescence, or star in a jar, right? And what it does through this prism is separates those bands of light, and it breaks down into 7 colors, which is the rainbow, right? These colors of the rainbow also reflect our chakra system, the 7 main planets within the soul system that we live in, and so on and so forth. So each of these energies change and alter as we orbit or rotate or cycle through the heavens, or the heavens rotate or orbit or cycle around us, right? Kind of depends on how you look at it. But each one of these cycles, these astrological cycles, has a primary influence, and it is magnified by wherever the sun, which is the biggest, most prominent star, is at that particular time. And please excuse, like, the traffic and all of that. I do live in the city, so it does kind of get a little loud sometimes. So I do apologize for that. And if you are in the chat, make sure to hit the thumbs up. I don't know if even I don't know if the notifications even go out for this shit anymore, especially on YouTube. It's one of the hardest ones to um, get any type of reach on these days. But anyways, so this age of Pisces, this age of religion, this age of duality, we're told through the different mythologies, began with judgment, and there's nothing new under the sun. So, the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. We can look at any type of story, including, Norse mythos and Ragnarok, and, all of these different, uh, creation stories and all these different tales, because what they essentially are is the story of us, the history of human consciousness, the history of human evolution, and how we are shaped, essentially, in each one of these cycles. So the Bible says that, we were evil, that there were giants, that we were, performing witchcraft and doing all these terrible things in the last days, or the days of Noah, right? So he sent a great flood, a deluge, to destroy humankind. And Noah, or Vasudra, in the Anunnaki Sumerian text, was the only one who survived, and he survived through what? An ark, right? An ark. Which, if we look at the meaning of an ark, lo and behold, what an ark actually means is a firmament. Go figure, right? So then we look at the time of Moses, you know, and you guys already know, if you've watched me any amount of time, I do believe Moses is also the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten, right? Which was the father of modern day monotheism, and if you look at the Colbrin Bible, which was written on copper, it's either copper or brass, I believe, which was, pre-flood. It actually tells the tale of Exodus, way before the Bible, and in this version, it's told from the Egyptian perspective instead of the Hebrew perspective, you know. And it talks about this prince, priest pharaoh, basically, who was run off, from his own people during the days of the destroyer, right? which was the end of the cycle, and all of this destruction that ensued and followed, and the dark days that ensued after that point. And if any of you guys have watched any of my Planet X material, we've covered the 3 chapters of the Destroyer, quite a bit. And I believe we've covered the dark days as well, so go check out some of those videos if you're more interested in that. It really is interesting shit, to be honest. But we know that when these judgments come, destruction follows, and what kind of destruction is this, and changes follow. Think about in the time of Moses and the time of Exodus, when he went up on Mount Sinai, or Sin, AI, right, and discovered the burning bush, which, keep in mind, he was in the age of Aries, which was the masculine paternal age, right, an age of fire. When he discovered this burning bush, he came down from the mountain, and what was he witnessing? All of his people worshiping a golden calf, right? Meaning they were still stuck in the age of Taurus, right? Worshiping the bull, right? The sun god bull, because it's always a sun god. So, gold represents the sun. It also represents spirit, or the heavens as well, right? So, like when we look at alchemy, and we're converting iron into gold, like a Rosicrucianism, that's actually what we're talking about. Is turning our physical self, transmuting or transfiguring our physical self, and spiritually ascending, into a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of being. So when he came down from that state of consciousness, they were still worshiping the feminine. They were still worshiping the gods of old, right? Which was considered, idolatry, and considered a sin and all of that to God, right? He was pissed, Same thing kind of goes like in the age of Jesus, Think about it. He's talking about the Pharisees and Sadducees and all of this, and he's telling them, your father is the father of lies, right? Meaning they were still worshiping this masculine deity, right? This fire deity, this paternal energy. And it is raining really good. Luckily, I'm under a tree with an umbrella. So, they were still doing this. They were still worshiping the old God. They were failing to see that Christ was trying to enlighten them, to a different father. We were growing, evolving spiritually, entering a new spiritual age. And if you think about why there are all of these stories in the different religions about, a son born of a virgin birth, and, why it always seems to be so similar in the same story, there's going to be a lot of people that tell you it's because it's a lie and you're being deceived by the devil and blah, 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 And those are people that are just misinformed and don't understand the esoteric, understanding when it comes to these things, you know. What it actually means, is each one of these religions, we're talking about this specific pattern of the Piscean age, right? How we have evolved, and now this is the age of the child, the age of the sun, you know. The Egyptians knew it, and they called it the Aeon of Horus, right? The Aeon of Horus. We first started with the Taurian age, the age of Taurus, and this was Isis and, Venus ruled, and, all about the feminine and all of this, right? And that's why they wrote everything on copper and all of that. It all had to do with the most prominent, powerful astrological energy at that time. Then we moved into the age of Aries, right? Which was fire, masculine, paternal. This was that wrathful, vengeful God, the Father God, Yahweh, which, by the way, Yahweh or Jehovah, right? Yahweh means hands nailed, feet nailed, right? And then we think about Christ, you know, we think about Christ, you know, in the whole being nailed to the cross, which we'll get into as we move through this. And we had that masculine energy. We had that father energy, you know, during that time. But then you had the mother and the father, and now we move into the age of the son, right? The child. This is the age of Horus, the age of Christ. We now have the ability through the physical, because we started out as ethereal beings. We were far more ethereal than we were physical at one point. And when we fell in consciousness, or when the flood came, that was us descending down into the physical form. Which, if you think about the last 2,600 years, what is it, you know, ultimately been about for us? It's been about humanity trying to learn how to navigate the physical world, trying to master our physical survival. And really, if you think about it, you know, this is incredibly necessary, right? Because if we are, or we have dominion over all things, over every dimension, over every aspect of creation, you know, then it would only make sense that we'd have to learn how to navigate the physical and learn how to master the physical as well. You know, we were in a divine feminine state, learning how to master, you know, the spiritual, then into a masculine state, you know, learning how to master, you know, the magical side of things with fire. And now we are walking on water, right? Learning to master the emotions. And now we are back into the air, which is the ether. And this is like a more conscious state, right? Each time, each cycle, you know, humanity learns how to evolve and how to shift and how to um, in essence own, you know, that particular element or that particular energy, you know, that's most prominent. You know, we think about, you know, the different you know, books that in the Bible that talk about the end. You know, whether we're looking at, you know, the book of Daniel, you know, in the beast of Daniel, in the iron mixed with miry clay, right? And you know, it kind of makes you think about, you know, us and transhumanism. You know, the iron mixed with miry clay. The miry clay standing for us. You know, think about um, Prometheus and how he actually took the divine spark and created us out of clay, right? And the stories of the Greek mythology, you know, and that was also ruled by who? Zeus, which was Jupiter. And we can look at every one of these religions and we'll start to see a theme here, which is the same deities, the same gods, just different names, right? Like even when we look at Jehovah, you know, and the Bible, you know, does anybody actually know what Jehovah means? It's Jove given, meaning Jupiter given, right? Take a look at Christ, you know, Jesus. He bore our stripes for us, right? Jupiter is the striped planet. The King of Kings, Jupiter is the king planet, you know? And even, you know, him bleeding for us, Jupiter does have a giant red spot on it as well. You know, I mean, I could keep going on and on about, the different similarities, you know, and Jupiter is the son of Kronos as well, you know. And in the Greek mythos, you know, we know that Kronos, which is Father Time or Saturn, you know, and man, there's so much that we could we could dive into. I'll try to weed it all and make it, you know, coherent as I do. Um, but Kronos, which is Father Time, you know, we know that the matrix in itself, you know, the world in itself, we're trapped in the construct of time, you know, and that's what 666 actually stands for, you know. Um, and that's why so many people believe we are in the Saturn moon matrix, right? Meaning that Saturn, in astrology as well, you know, Saturn actually controls the solar system, right? He is the one who keeps everything within its bounds, you know. He is the controlling energy, the father energy, right? He acts as sort of, you know, he's the cosmic dad, the solar system dad. He's also Satan, you know. And if you think about who is the god of this world, Satan, Saturn, you know. You think about the black cube, you know, the black cube. You know, it's represented by that black box within our brain that is responsible for our cognitive ability to be able to even speak, right? That's another black box. We think about the Masonic cube when we look at Saturn. You know, 1 plus 5, 1 plus 5, 1 plus 5, 666. And then look at the construct of time, you know, 60 seconds, right? 24 hours. 2 plus 4 is 6, right? So on and so forth. 60 minutes in an hour, 666. You know, it's time. He who hath understanding, let him calculate the number, for it is a number of man, right? It's time, you know. And not to mention, you know, we're 6 carbon and 6, you know what I mean? So it is the physical, period, you know. And we look at it as something just terrible and evil, and I think it's laughable. But see, that's what religion does to you. Now imagine you're at the end of one of these cycles, right? And you have watched humanity, you know, come up in essence, right? You've watched them. You've like seen them go from this low state of consciousness, this low state of being, to all of a sudden they have risen up and are fucking you know, able to levitate giant stones and build pyramids and, you know, build shit on, you know, ley lines and use the earth energy and do all of these fantastic, amazing things, right? Imagine you've watched this giant jump in consciousness. You have um, this incredible fucking understanding of things, okay? But you know, because you yourself have now witnessed it, right? You know now that after a certain period of time, after so many solar cycles and thousands of years, etc., that we're going to fall in consciousness again. Okay? How do you ensure? How do you ensure that we don't forget all of the knowledge that we've accumulated? Huh? How do you ensure that we don't forget our history and forget where we came from? Our story. And think about that too. And you might even ask, like, John, why is that even important? Why does it matter if we remember where we came from or any of that? Well, oh, look, there's a mouse right there. See that? Can you guys see that? Cool. Yeah. Rainy, his ass came out of the ground. Um, and you ask, John, why is it important that we remember any of this shit? What does it matter, dude? Well, think about what separates us from animals. The fact that we remember shit. It's our memory. How do we profess that memory and talk about that memory? Through our language. You know? That's the only difference between us and them. I believe they're conscious too. I believe they have emotions and feelings too. But truth be told, if we didn't have our history, and history is written by the victors, and I'm not talking about the modern day fucked up history most of you guys know of, you know, if we didn't have our history, we would be deceived very easily, like we are now. Why do you think it was so fucking important? So important when they did the World Fair. I believe it's like the late 1800s or whatever, to destroy all of those huge fucking buildings all over the world. You know, to set us back. We can be controlled if we don't remember where we came from. We can be deceived if we don't understand how powerful we are. Think about what destroying our history has done to us already. Um, and I ask you, go to my Instagram, go to my Facebook, both of them at Best Damn Podcast. After the video, of course, but go to those and look at my pictures of the Egyptian museums and shit. I went to Walter Art Museum in Baltimore and Cincinnati Museum. Like I've been to some pretty cool museums, and I always love like the ancient Egyptian section. It's just my favorite. And you'll go there and you'll see like all the right hands broken off of every fucking display there. All the heads broken off, every display there. It's the same goddamn parts on all of it. All of it. Why? They're hiding something. And it's not they're hiding that it was a damn alien or something like that. That would be why would they do that? That's part of the narrative. They want you to believe that there are extraterrestrials and all of this shit because it disempowers you if you believe that. That's why I've been so fucking hard on all the Pleiadian, starseed shit over the years. Because it weakens us. I'm not knocking you if you're down with that. If you're like if that's what you like, if that helps you, then good. I mean, it's great. Um, what about the simulation theory? We'll integrate that as we go through. Um, because in essence, simulation is true, but it's just an understanding of the simulation is just a word we use, and I believe it's just very misinterpreted on how we perceive the simulation. It's like it is a simulation technically, but it's us that is simulating the reality, us that's projecting the reality. And like I said, the history though, in the whole, alien shit and all of that, the reason that is able to disempower us so much is because it has us looking for that external savior. It has us believing that all of these amazing feats and things that have been created like the pyramids and the ability to build them on ley lines and have them created in such a way to harness the earth's energy field, energy grid, that we weren't capable of that we weren't capable of levitating those large stones with sound, which we were, you know. And isn't it interesting that not only did we understand all of the stars and where they were and their particular energies back then, uh, not only did we understand all of the stars and their particular energies back then, um, we understood it better probably then than we even do today, you know. And it makes us, kind of look back on our ancestry as like, oh well, you know, we were basically, monkeys back then, or we were basically cavemen back then, and we're so much smarter and so much better now than we were back then. It's like, it couldn't be further from the truth. You know, it makes you feel like, or it makes us feel, like we're not in charge of our own destiny. Like we're not shaping our own world, that we don't shape our own reality, that we're not in control of our own lives, you know. And look at the people that buy into those things too. So many people that um, that bought into religion, they jumped right over to the whole alien shit. It's like, I'm going to exchange Jesus, for the Zeta Reticulites. You know what I mean? I'm going to exchange Jesus for the Greys. You know, and I know, and here's the sad part: like they play on our ego for this stuff. They play on our ego for this. They know that we all want to feel fucking special or different than all the rest of us. You know, so that's what they play on. They play on the fact of, like, if they tell you that, you descend from the Pleiadian star system and you're fucking here to save everybody else. That's so egotistical when you think about it. And like the people that believe that shit, yeah, okay, you're the special one, and you're here to save every one of us because you got it all figured out, and you're not here in the physical just fucking like us. You're not flawed just fucking like us, you know? And if you were here to save all of us, how come there is so many more people with a higher state of consciousness than you, higher intelligence than you, higher emotional maturity than you? It's like nobody, these people don't even stop to think about this shit, you know? It's just, it feels good. Feels good to say I'm here to save everybody. Feels good to say my knowledge is above yours. My wisdom is above yours. Same thing with pastors and preachers and so-called fucking spiritual teachers. We see this play out over and over. See, this is the whole Piscean, concept. That duality, that desire to rule the external, to be guided by our emotion. And remember, once our emotions take over, right, the logic cuts off. We no longer are thinking with our intellect once the emotion kicks in. We're robbed of that. You know, that's why when you go into like a church service or some shit like that, they got the music and, you know what I mean? Everybody's fucking clapping and dancing the drums because, sound is hypnotic for one. That's a fact. Right, our brain starts to synchronize with the rhythms of sound, especially drums in particular, percussion. You know, and each sound at a note that it's played, remember, those are harmonizing with specific frequencies as well. That's why it invokes that emotional response. You're hearing that song about Jesus and you feel so close to God. You know, you got the pastor up on the podium and he's above you, right? He feels smarter because he's looking down. You know, and we are a social creature. We are a social species. Think about it. Everything that we do, we mate, have partners, life partners, create children, have family, friends, communities, clubs, memberships, groups, everything you can think of. And it's always people, more and more people together, connected. So when you're in that sea of people and you're looking up at that pastor, that preacher, and everybody else believes him, everybody else talks about how smart and good he is. You know, you're like, well, all these people can't be wrong. You know, that's why when they, perform psychological warfare on us and shit, they do things, like the tactics of like Kermit Roosevelt. Do you know that our modern day psychological warfare tactics with the CIA actually started from, I believe it was $1 million budget. Theodore Roosevelt's brother Kermit was the head of the CIA. And what he actually did was went to Iran, and it was the Ayatollah back then. He overthrew him with this $1 million budget by creating a controlled opposition newspaper, right? And what this controlled opposition newspaper did was paid protesters, like they do today, right? Paid protesters, a small group of protesters, some money to go out and, protest and say the guy was a piece of shit and all of this, right? They did. People do anything for money. Seems like everybody's got a price. So when they do this, what he did was he then filmed it, right, using the medium, and they just went up close, right, with the framing of the pictures to make it look like there was a lot more people than there was, and they started printing that, you know. Then all of a sudden, the population started believing that there was large groups of people that were actually against this guy and wanted to overthrow his fucking ass, you know. And they all started believing, and that's exactly what ended up happening. You know, they do the same shit to us today. Same thing today. You know, why do you think Christianity is the largest religion in the world, dude? You know, so many people that are Christians and shit think like, oh, we're so persecuted. No, you're fucking not. There's like 3 billion of you. You are pushed by every damn government and system in the world. You know? Trillion and trillion and trillions of dollars in Christianity. Matter of fact, back when I first started uh, content creation, I went to a church and I did the sound and the maintenance there. And I watched this little church, and this is what kind of pushed me away from religion. I watched this little church kind of like blow up, man. I watched it go from, being some little mom and pop church to a mega church, you know. And they joined like the Christian Alliance and all of this shit. And it was like they had to, whatever they were teaching, you could turn on the TV on Sunday, and they would also be teaching the same thing. You know, the same subject, same concept, same everything, same song could be played. Like, it's just like, public school, you know, same shit. When you go to a seminary and you get a theology degree and all of this, like, what do you think they're doing? You know, you're becoming a professional indoctrinator, you know, you're being schooled in how to brainwash people, how to indoctrinate people into a particular belief system, you know. The Potter's house, fuck yeah, bro. Yeah, exactly. There's a troll in the chat. Kimberly, block him. Whoever the troll is, block them. Kimberly, I know you can. So if there's a troll, block them. Don't even fuck with them. I've been getting so many trolls, guys. And I don't know if it's because, Micah has been attacking me so much lately. I literally got my fucking phone hacked. They've been, my Facebook, it's been reported. I've been kicked out of 1,000 groups. I mean, I've been blowing up everywhere, though. Like, every platform. I'm, like, going viral and getting all kinds of, great stuff. So I feel like that could also have something to do with it, too. You know? Like you guys seen my last video, after the live was over, I had fucking, 2,400 views on that thing just after the live. So, whenever you start to get attention and influence, and this is anybody, you ain't got to be special. You ain't got to be fucking smart. You ain't got to be shit. If you have any influence and you're not controlled by the system will shut you down. That's why the one, holy shit. You guys hear that? We live in like a fucking security state. Did you guys hear that? The robot and shit hollering at me. This area is under video surveillance and you have been recorded. See, we live in like the 1984 fucking Orwellian, um, society here. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. I wouldn't be surprised if the police don't roll up on me like the next moment. I'm sure that triggered something. You can't get them to come save you if your house is getting broken into, but they'll come bust your ass if you're at a Target. you know? Thought he would see my text on Facebook. It's like, when we look at everything as a whole, too, kind of back to the topic. I know I kind of go all over the place, but that's just what I do. Either you like it or you don't. Here, let me clean off my phone a little bit. That way, shit. Let me get some of this off the screen. This way it's not so shiny for you guys. Hopefully that is better. Is that better? Looks better to me. All right. Yeah, so, like I said, like, looking at a system and where we're at with everything, it's like, that's why it's important to destroy our history. That's why it's important to keep us in the dark. And, it makes us feel powerless. That's what religion does. These systems of control. And I had to leave where I was at because there was a couple like crackheads or meth addicts or something standing right there, and they were tweaking bad, and they were trying to talk to me. So I love the city. I love the city. Yeah. It's like, welcome to paradise. you know? Welcome to paradise. I got robots threatening to arrest me over here. I got dope fiends over here. uh, Nothing better, y'all. Nothing better. And they want to keep us in these type of traps too. Not only do they take away our history to try to make us feel like we've never conquered or overcame shit, or think about anytime you conquer like a civilization, anytime you conquer a culture, what do? What's the first thing a country does when they conquer somebody, right? And somebody's fighting across the street over here, so this is wonderful. We're just getting all types of action tonight. I love the West Side. Think about what happens anytime they conquer, a nation. They conquer, a civilization. They immediately erase their history. They fucking tear down their statues. They change their gods and all of that. There's a reason for that. And see, you've been conquered too. We've been conquered too. But we've been conquered by who we call the controllers. Like all of humanity has been conquered in this way, you know? And we just fail to see it. We fail to see it. You know, we fail to accept things for what they truly are. You know, that's why when you go through like a spiritual awakening, your whole fucking world just shatters. Your reality shatters. It's like it was all built on lies, you know? So it just can't stand anymore. You know, it cannot stand. It doesn't have, there's nothing to stand on. There's no foundation. None of what you understood or perceived to be, you know, reality. None of what you understood or perceived to be, you know, the world is even real, you know? Hey. So, I mean, we see families fall apart when they go through it. Marriages fall apart when they go through it, you know? And why is that? Because there becomes like this division between, you know, the people. You know, just like we see now in our collective society, you know, there's like a division. You know, one partner wants to cling to the world. You know, they're scared to even look at the truth. You know, anything that brings up fear inside of them, you know, because they don't have inner strength, you know? And that's not to say, like, I know a lot of people that don't like to watch, you know, blood and guts and gore and scary movies and shit like that. I'm not talking about that kind of thing, you know? There's nothing wrong with not wanting to watch senseless violence and destruction, you know? Nothing wrong with that. I'm talking about the people that can't face their own reality, you know, or face the reality of the world at all. You know, it scares them. The truth scares them. You know, the ones that genuinely believe ignorance is bliss, you know, like they feel safe being told what to do. That's weird. They feel safe being, you know, controlled. They feel safe, you know. Okay. Wonder what happened. Okay. Wonder what's up with the numbers. They keep going up and down here. You know, they feel safe though. That's why all of our stories of religion and shit, you know, they're never questioned. You know, they're never doubted. You know, they get off with that shit so easy on us. It just scares people. You know, you have pastors and preachers, the whole, you know, fire and brimstone shit. You know, they terrify people. Nobody's questioning that shit. Hell no. Hell no. You know? Hell no. They don't even want to talk about it. They want to look at it. You told them that God's coming back and he's mad as fuck and he's going to destroy all of us. You know? And they're just hoping that if they, you know, they pay enough money, that maybe, just maybe, that'll buy their ticket into heaven. You know? Sorry, guys. Sorry. A little dark here. I'm gonna move over here. Not understanding that, not understanding that you got to make heaven out of, you know, the earth while you're here. You know, imagine living your life waiting on the next. Imagine doing that. Imagine living your life in fear of being judged for your every move, your every thought. Imagine that. Imagine feeling guilt and shame for everything that you ever did that brought you happiness because, you know, it wasn't inside of, you know, a rule book given to you by men. Imagine that. You know, we have a moral compass within here already. You know, the reason they needed, you know, those kind of things back then, it was so they could understand how to not violate the energetic laws. You know, I told you it was a fall in consciousness. You know, that great flood, that deluge was a fall in consciousness. We weren't being fucking punished for being evil. The cycle just ended and we were shifting out of an age of fire into an age of water. You know, that was the fall. That was the flood. That was a deluge. Did a physical one happen? Probably so. As above, so below, you know? Same thing in the heavens, same thing on earth, guys. Like, you know, probably did happen. Soil records indicate it most likely did. We weren't being punished. You know, why did they write all of our creation stories and, you know, on these giant, you know, monuments and stones and rocks and all of this? They wrote it for when we came back around. You know, we came back to a time of awareness, back to a high state of consciousness. They knew that we had to take a dip in consciousness for a little while. They knew that. You know, they understood the cycles, they understood how it worked. So they put it in symbols. Why? Because a symbol is an energetic frequency, it's a representation of an energetic frequency or a pattern, you know, and just seeing that pattern can trigger that pattern within your subconscious. There's a couple rabbits, you know, and that's why they put all of this into religions too, right? Religion is all they're doing is, you know, and even though it was an exoteric and external understanding, they were still, you know, speaking that same pattern. People were just perceiving it on a very low conscious level, a very low conscious state. You know, so it all became physical to them because they wasn't in touch with the spiritual or the esoteric whatsoever at that time. They weren't capable. You know, think about our understanding. Think about, and I'm not dogging you, you know, if you're Christian or whatever. Like, I'm not dogging you. Um, but let's just think about, you know, what you believe as opposed to what people believe, you know, now, right? The old understandings, you know. Spanish Inquisition and shit, they were torturing, you know, the darkness out of you instead of understanding, you know, burning you, burning witches, not understanding like the burning was like a refining thing, a spiritual process to burn the evil out of somebody, to refine somebody. But they literally put their ass on a stake and torched them, you know? So, you know, there's your difference in understanding. There's your difference in consciousness right there, you know? And think about the religion, you know, Christ being a man crucified on a cross, right? And instead of the astrological cross, you know, in the planet of the crossing or transitional planet, which is in fact Jupiter, right? Planet X, Nibiru. Nibiru was Jupiter in ancient Babylon, right? And we already talked about how Thor, Zeus, right? All of them represent Jupiter. Jehovah, all of it represents Jupiter, right? That's the king planet. I believe actually Earth at one point in time was a moon or a satellite of Jupiter. And a lot of people believe Venus may have been as well. And what is his name? Terrence Howard, when he went on Joe Rogan, he was talking about the increment of expansion of the planets. And this is a very interesting concept. Very, very interesting concept. And the way, like, we have this like harmonic balance of planets as they go outward from the sun for basically this expansion, and that they're moving at the same rate away from the sun, each planet. And then you look at like the ancient Chinese concepts of how each planet, basically we had a new sun for every cycle, and that there are 9 cycles, right? 9 cycles. Um, each one is made up of 4 elements or 4 destructions. You know, we've talked about this, especially when we've looked over the work of Immanuel Velikovsky. So some of you guys may remember that. Look at some of my videos on that if you're not familiar. I've covered everything. Anything I talk about, I've covered it at some point in time in depth on my other work. So, and have images and all that to go along with it. But each one of these planets like migrating away from the sun, which would be the center. Remember, that's like the portal, you know, of awareness to the higher dimension or the heavens, right? That is pure awareness, pure God energy, you know, pouring down on us, right? And these planets expanding, you know, at the same pace or the same rate, meaning that, you know, at Mars, one point in time was in the Goldilocks zone, right? And remember, in the ancient Sumerian tales, Enki's World Order, or the Lost Book of Enki, as some people know it as, but in Enki's World Order, um, it talks about Mars being a way station, right? On the way to Earth, you know. Think about it. So it was inhabited, meaning, you know, and a lot of scientists even believe that Mars was once exactly like Earth before it lost its atmosphere, before it left that Goldilocks zone, before it migrated outward. So, meaning it was a state of consciousness, and we're DNA, you know. If you've ever seen the movie, this is one of the best movies to describe it to, Prometheus. Prometheus is one of my favorite movies of all time. And in the movie Prometheus, these Titans, they just drop DNA in the water on Earth. DNA, that's it. And because DNA is the whole package, it's the whole cookbook for life in itself, right? You don't need nothing else. Um, it starts to unwind and unfold and program itself no matter where it's at. As long as we have DNA, we'll never go away, right? The Earth could be destroyed 1 billion times. And if we sent DNA to every planet or every galaxy in the solar system and in the universe, we'd pop up every fucking place. No shit. We'd pop up every fucking place, you know, because of DNA. You know, that is our our genetic program. That is our code. That is how we appear. And in Prometheus, that's what they do. The Titans send it to Earth, and that's how we become. You know, and we'll evolve out of whatever, you know, the organic material or matter is there. Obviously, that's why we came from, you know, what the Earth is made of here. Um, but if you think about Mars being a way station, right, and us being at Mars at one point, and now Earth is moving outward away from the sun. You know, that would mean Venus would be next, you know, and Mercury, you know, would be after that. You know, it means at one point these, you know, Jupiter, Saturn, right? They were states of consciousness, and they are conscious. If a planet in itself is a living conscious being, you know, and they have living conscious energy, and all of these stars have this living conscious energy. And we know they do in astrology, right? Each planet, each star gives off its own fucking energy, its own, you know, it's got its own archetype. Earth is no different, man. Earth is no different. You know, we have a collective consciousness, a collective spirit here too, you know. And we're going through the very same cycles here. You know, we're having these experiences as well here. You know, and if you think about the concept of planets altogether, like it's kind of false. You know, planets, you know, and think about the word plane is the base word of planets. It's a plane of existence. It's a dimensional plane. You know, it's a space where consciousness creates and expands. And think about, you know, Kronos and the mythologies kind of go back to that, how he swallowed all of his children, you know, but he didn't swallow Jupiter, right? Meaning they were all bound within his construct of time, you know. And I believe like Dave Dobbs, he did it best or said it best. He has this theory, and I also have this theory too, but I'm just going to give him a little credit on it because he said it a little better about Jupiter. You see the movies like Jupiter Ascending and shit like that, right? Jupiter Ascending. And that Jupiter being basically is its own star. You know, Saturn being a star, all planets being stars, basically. They're, you know, we just call them planets because they're, you know, a lot closer to us. You know, these are the governors or the rulers of the reality, you know, the archons. You know, these are who make up those you know, the powers of that rainbow, or you know, the chakras and all that, the days of the week, right? These are the rulers of the reality, the most prominent astrological influences in on earth. You know, these are the watchers, the messengers, the whole nine. Okay, but in that concept, it's you know, Jupiter basically having like this more of an elongated orbit, and that, you know, it's 80 or fucking 100 moons. You know, they're all, you know, they're satellites around it. You know, they're not even moons. Basically, it's like its own solar system, and that the sun would be more of like a galactic center. You know, and that every, I think it's it might be 12,500 years. I don't want to say for a fact, but I think it's either, if it is 12,500 years, and it's every 24 or 25,000 years. But these cycles, every 12,500 years, that Jupiter actually um, goes above the Earth, like crosses the Earth, you know? Like where the Earth is orbiting, it goes underneath the crossing of Jupiter, you know? And that's where we get of like the Jupiter ascending. That's where we get all these concepts of the destroyer and shit like that. You know, if you think about, we break down all the cycles here on Earth too. You know, 3,600 years, 6,500 year, 12,500, 24,000 year cycles. You know, why are they broken down into these specific numbers? You know, not just because of the way that we orbit the sun, but it's also some other mechanisms that are operating within, you know, the solar system, you know, and there's these monumental events that take place. Why was there such a big emphasis placed on Jupiter? You know, why was there, you know, in passing over, right? The Passover. If you guys remember, um, you know, I started this channel based on a dream, you know, about Jupiter, you know, and it was Jupiter rising up into the sky, you know, covering the entire sky, you know. So that's how I even started all of this, you know, based on a dream about Jupiter. And sorry, guys, it's starting to rain again. You know, and we look at like what, you know, what is judgment? What is to judge something? You know, it's to measure it. You know, to see its worth. It's to measure. Think about the Book of Revelations. Right? It's revealing. Apocalypse means to reveal. You know, We're being judged because our world is being revealed to us, right? That way we can see the measure of ourselves, you know, the measure of ourselves and of our world and who we are. And it's up to us. It's up to us to judge ourselves within all of this, you know? That's why Christ said, judgment was reserved for the Son, you know? Meaning, like, there's no God that's going to do it to you. Nobody's going to come strike your ass with a bolt of lightning or throw you in a pit of fire, you know? Which hell, if we look at, like, the origin of that, it actually comes from the Norse, and hell, Hel, is a lower dimension, right? Turned over to distortion and all of that, you know. And then we look at other, etymologies of hell, and it means, to burn up. It's a consuming flame, in the Bible, you know. It's burning up, our darkness, burning away, all of us that don't belong. That's why he says, in the last days, that God would cast his net, right? Net meaning magnetic field or aura or spirit or whatever, right? Consciousness, right? Cast his net, gathering together his, refining them by the fires of affliction. That's a dark night of the soul. That's the pole shift, right? Pole shift is a polarity shift. It's a polarity shift. I mean, we're switching from a negatively oriented state of consciousness to a positive oriented state of consciousness. We're no longer polarized towards darkness, distortion, death, masculine, all of that. Like, we're now going in the other direction, you know. And in this one, it truly is like the Luciferian thing, with balance, the trans agenda, trans everything, like that mastery. That is the narrow gate. That's the middle way, you know. And I'm not talking about the perverse way that they try to put it in the media and, all of that, you know. But just like how religion is external and exoteric and is projecting a pattern on a distorted, lower dimensional level, they're doing the same thing. They're just not aware of it. When they hit you with all that transgender and all that stuff, it's the same shit, guys. The same exact thing. We're just seeing the base, perverse, distorted version of what's taking place consciously. So, are we being judged? I guess it depends on who you see as God, what you see as God, and your understanding of judgment. You know, it says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." Right? Meaning, none of us have that authority, that position, that power. To cast judgment over anybody. It's us that need to worry about our own damn selves, worry about our own sins, our own flaws. You know, and no matter what the world's doing, whether they're doing it in a debased, debaucherous, fucking distorted way, it's neither here nor there, guys. we will always get to where we're supposed to be regardless. You know, they can show all the negativity, all the stupid shit they want. We will polarize in the opposite direction once our awareness takes hold and we realize how fucking detrimental it is. There is no veering off the path. I hate to tell you. I hate to tell you. There's no wrong way. We are never being misguided. We are never off our path. Ever. Even though it may seem that way. You can try to, but you can't. You know, the universal mind, God, creator, you know, whatever, the heavenly father, whatever you see it as, that put all the laws of creation into effect, it's foolproof. It is foolproof. There's no loopholes, there's no way around it. The laws of creation are what they are. And that's why we can't listen to these idiot fucks that want to tell you their intuition is telling you, you know, something that you know, goes against every cycle through the history of time. You know, there is nothing new under the sun. It's up to us to tap into the ancient knowledge and wisdom. It's up to us to tap into one another and to tap into universal consciousness and understand how it all works. And once we understand how it all works, you know, we can understand how, and it's by through understanding how our self works. You know, that's how we master the matrix. That's how we master ourselves. You know, and we do it through love. So, looks like my battery's getting low here. So, I am going to wrap this one up. I just want to thank all of you guys for joining me. Please hit the like, the thumbs up wherever you're watching from. I would have loved to, you know, I just wanted to do a video tonight. I'm gonna try to come live more often. It's just really rainy and shit. So sorry I couldn't do a little bit better, a little bit more for you guys. Keep in mind we're viewer powered. If you'd like to donate to the channel, please do so. And big ups and big thanks to everybody who does donate and support me. PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger, or patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official. Book a personal tarot reading, 513-393-2396, or email the Real Best Damn Podcast at gmail.com. Please follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, YouTube, Best Damn Podcast Official, and Best Damn Podcast, TikTok, The Best Damn Podcast. And yeah, check out all my tarot videos. They boom now, man. I'm telling you, I'm doing really well everywhere. So follow me, Instagram, Facebook, both Facebook pages. Um, you know, all of it. Check it out. So I love all of you guys so very, very much. And like I said, please hit that like. Please share this link. Comment. You know, comment like crazy. It really helps with the algorithms. And you know, make sure to subscribe. And if you have not subscribed, or even if you have, unsubscribe and then hit subscribe again and click all on the bell. That way, you guys start getting the notifications. You know, and like I said, I'll be going live a lot. The most awesome moderator. Okay, I don't know how to get this bitch to stop. It's so wet. That's what she said. I can't get my stream to stop here. That's weird.